the front room of the Canopy Club. We made $20. They got free PBR. I thought it was the greatest thing ever, you know?
This is Champagne is Also a Band podcast. One songwriter, one song. I'm Sven, your host for a journey into the music of Champaign Urbana. Recorded in the Blue Box studio with a songwriter from the Champaign Urbana music scene, past or present. Champagne is Also a Band podcast is proud to be a part of the Champagne Showers Podcast Network. Welcome to Champagne is Also a Band podcast. Today I have Colin Larson, and you may know Colin from such bands as Johnnyork, Withershins, and his current project, Otherglow. Colin, welcome to the show.
Hey, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So today we're going to be listening to your song, Winter Wind, off of the EP, Spacey Sounds. So without further ado, let's listen to the song.
Now the kids are throwing rocks again. No one's going to stop them. While our secret sons play sinking ships. Every angle is paved with crooked tongues. Fuzzy memories, and I'm left feeling quite undone. Feel
Welcome back. So, Colin, my first and favorite question to always ask is, what came first? Was it the music or was it the lyrics?
So with me, the instrumental pretty much always comes first. I have more trouble writing lyrics than I do music. The music seems to just flow out of me, whereas the lyrics take a long time. I have to sit and kind of ruminate about what I want to say, you know. But the instrumental, I find it's easier to write because it's just, I don't know, the emotions of the song come out a lot quicker for me when I'm just sitting with a guitar or drums or whatever. I can almost communicate better that way, like the whatever mood is on my mind through instruments, I suppose, than sitting around and choosing lyrics.
That brings an idea into my mind that sounds and melodies and harmonies have a certain visceral impact that sometimes we fabricate a little bit with words sometimes. So I feel like you can generate a pure sense of emotion just by the simplicity or complexity, maybe even, of the melody or chords that you're playing or the music that you write. So what was the first part of this that you started writing musically?
The first demo that I recorded from this was for the Withershins album, Mount Fuji in Blue. So the original riff came to me in, 2012, I think we were doing demos for that one. So it was sitting around for a long, long time, and I've always wanted to turn it into a full song. I just kind of never really got around to it, and it never made it to that album or anything. But then the other idea I had, so I was just kind of going through my hard drive and finding these little demos and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I should finally do something with this riff. I also was sort of obsessed at the time with songs that had like the same verse and chorus instrumental parts, but then just the lyrics change, but the lyric change is so powerful that it makes the chorus, you know? It's kind of that thing. So like if you think Wicked Game by Chris Isaak, that's one where like it's the same chords in the verse as the chorus, and really it's just the lyrics that just make it special in the chorus. And there's another band out of Mississippi I listen to called Villaroos. They have a song called The Plans We Plan to Keep that had the same sort of structure, and I was like, I want to make a song like that. So it's funny because the song didn't actually end up that way, I would say. Like the chorus kind of kicks in a little bit harder because I collaborated with somebody on this song and they kind of changed the chorus a little bit, but it's basically the same chords played on guitar, especially my part. It's the same in the verse and the chorus. So that kind of fed into this song. You had an additional collaborator on this song, but you're playing the bass and the drums. Is that correct? Yeah, so I play everything other than like the really heavy distorted guitars that come into the chorus and then like near the end of the song as well. A year ago, I put together a demo with some MIDI drums, you know, so it was mainly just guitar and bass I wrote first, then just put some fake drums together and basically sent it to my friend Lucas. He's in a band called The Science Of. He's also in Lunar Tides, but I met him through Twitch because I do a lot of live streaming on Twitch. And there's sort of a music community going there. Like I said, a year ago, I did the demo, and then later I recorded real drums. And then that's basically everything I gave to Lucas at the time. And then he just added those heavy chorus guitars and sent it back to me from there. But it really brought the song into another place, into another level. And it really pays off collaborating with people like that, I'm finding. So at this point in your collaboration, did you have words yet? No, it was all instrumental still. From when I sent it to Lucas to when I actually started writing lyrics, there was like 7 months went by before I even put lyrics down to this song. I would get stuck on lyrics and I'd just kind of go and make another instrumental and work on that song for a while and then kind of do the same thing. And then eventually it's like, oh, I got to do this sometime. So I sat around and finally picked something to write about. But it takes me a long time to get the lyrics. I don't know why. They're like dripping with metaphor and like imagery and that kind of thing. I don't know. It's a very shoegazy thing to do, right? Like the vocal melody can be a little dronish, but because the melody isn't necessarily complex, it makes you focus on what the words are saying and what images are being created so that you kind of get this
meditative, like, where is my mind going with this song? When I was listening to it, I was just thinking about the images that you have. You know, the kids are throwing rocks again, while our secret sons play sinking ships. Chosen hues come like blue violets, vultures always dress in green. Maybe I'll just do this. What is that line? What does that mean to you? Or was that just kind of an image that kind of popped into your head?
I spend a lot of time choosing words. I'll sit there with, the dictionary open and stuff and like go look for stuff in like a thesaurus and all that. And just, I have to find the right words. It has to sound correct coming out of my mouth. I'm really choosy with what I write. And I guess that's probably why the lyrics take so long for me. That's one of the reasons I chose this song for this interview, is because lyrically, I think this song, I kind of stepped up a little bit in what I was writing, and I really liked some of the one-liners I came up with and all that. So this whole song is about like the Russia-Ukraine conflict, where I'm talking about just basically war, right? So the sinking ships was about the oligarchs and how the yachts were going missing when everything, because I wrote this a while back, so it's it's when everything was just first starting up. And they were going, after all the yachts and stuff. And then, like, the vultures always dress in green refers to, like, war profiteers. And I try to really be not on the nose with things. Like, I really try to dress it up and abstract and all that. So that's the artistic fun I get out of writing lyrics, is not just saying exactly what I mean, just kind of making it creative and enjoyable to myself.
Yeah, see, my mind took it all in a very different direction. I wasn't picturing Ukraine or the conflict.
So that's good, though. It's great that you can come off with your own meaning to the song, and that's, I don't know if it's completely my intention, but it's great to hear.
Always fascinated by how my interpretation of your music and your lyrics will tell you probably more about me than it will ever about you, right? So
everybody projects a little.
Yeah, or a lot, Or a lot. Well, I mean, Winter Wind, maybe that led me too much, but
so Winter Wind, I'm actually referring to nuclear winter.
Oh, okay.
It's not just a seasonal song.
Right. No, but I was thinking about, usually we associate winter with kind of the end of things, the
see, that's
the finality.
Like
I saw it as kind of like approaching the end of something, but also reflecting upon all the things that we've done in our existence, our lives, and what our impact was. I thought that there was something that just really stuck out to me, the unforgivable routine, which to me, I was just like, the things that you do day to day without thinking, or I think sometimes routine can be one of the most heartless things that we can do to another person too, right? Like just not thinking about our words or not thinking about how our actions affect people because we're doing our routine. So to me, that was kind of the part of what made me think of this self-reflection towards the end of things. So anyway, that was just my interpretation of the song.
It delights me that you came up with like an interpretation like that that's different from what I was intending even. Yeah, so like there's that line in there, like abandoned lives over painted lines isn't worth it. So that's definitely like a reference just to border war, basically. The chorus is, see the bane of our becoming, searching for a reason why. It's just basically, I don't understand why all this has to happen. I mean, I do understand, why these things happen in human nature and all that, but I guess it's just kind of a basic anti-war song. I'm just, give peace a chance, but I don't know. I had such a strong reaction to when all this stuff was going on. And then like there's a lyric later in the song, or no, earlier in the song where, well, it's the feel, the chill of winter wind. There's nothing like it, where that's, when you're thinking about, oh, are we going to get bombed? Like, is everybody I know going to perish because somebody didn't like where their border was? Like, it's so silly to me. And then there's like a direct reference to something I believe Putin said, where it was, what good is a world without you? Where he was referencing Russia, like, what good is a world without Russia? And it's like, well,
oh yeah,
you're not really thinking of everybody.
Yeah.
But that's what the lyrics were all referring to.
When you started working on this, I mean, at what point did the creation of the music and the demos and the passing things back and forth, at what point did this concept solidify in your mind that it was going to be about Russia and Ukraine?
No, that's the funny thing. It really didn't. I basically finished the instrumental, and then I never once thought about, I mean, I don't even know if the war was going on yet when I was still writing the instrumental, to be honest. So no, it really didn't affect, I mean, I added a few things after the lyrics, like the little lead guitar lines in the pre-chorus part, like that came after the lyrics, and then I added some vocal harmonies later on, but basically all the music was done, and I just had that serious tone, and I guess just that, you know, the serious tone of the music lended itself to this sort of subject matter.
I like how it starts off with a very sparse instrumentation, as you're saying, now the kids are throwing rocks again and no one's going to stop them. At this point, it's like snare clicks and your guitar arpeggio. After those first few lines, that finally the bass comes in and just like kind of rounds it out. There's one part that I thought was really interesting that I don't know if you meant it this way, but in my mind, I'm like, oh, so you have this, every angle is paved with crooked tongues and fuzzy memories. And at that point, when you say memories, you start playing triplets on the drums. And it sounds like, in my mind, like something being rewound, like did. And I don't know, yeah, but in my mind I was like, but it was like this very cool word painting in terms of you're rewinding those memories in terms of trying to find those fuzzy memories.
I could only dream that my songwriting is as smart as you are as interpreting this. I just thought it was a cool hi-hat fill, so I tried to put it in there and turn it up loud. But no, that is really interesting.
It also gives a great like ramp up to dropping in this steady beat with the drums and kind of establishing kind of the impulsion of the song, you know, what's kind of driving it forward.
Gets a little more serious right there.
Yeah, and like it starts to take a very specific form. So it's not like you're just, before it's like you're waiting on the bus, you know, there's you've got that very clock ticking kind of sound to it. Is what I was trying to do with my mouth, but that's not what happened. You mentioned before that you wanted to keep it like the same music throughout the verses and the chorus, but I think you do a very, very good job of not letting it grow stale, and it keeps moving, which I think is great.
I think that the next lyric after the drums kick in, where it says like, I'm left feeling quite undone, like that sort of sets the tone, and I think that was sort of an intentional thing I did with the lyrics. But that little part is mostly about like all the misinformation around these days and how like hard it is to just feel like you know the actual truth about things with the crooked tongues and the fuzzy memories and all that. I don't know. I do feel quite undone sometimes.
I have a new appreciation for the lyrics on that section because it's like from my interpretation to what your interpretation to, it's cool that those in my mind can simultaneously exist now, which is something that's so great about music and lyrics.
I was having a lot of trouble, you know, coming up with things to write lyrics to because, I don't know, I look at like old rock songs like, you know, David Lee Roth wrote an entire song about jumping, and like I've never been able to just do that, just like spit out lyrics but I always have to have like a subject to write about. So one of the things that's helped me, and it kind of plays into this song, is I'm starting to just kind of like almost do musical journalism, I would call it maybe, or it's just like reactions of like the time I'm living in. And what I like to think about is, say that 1,000 years from now, somebody wants to know what it was like to live in, you know, the year 2022. And they just happen to pull up one of my songs. Like that's like the audience I'm writing for right now. And I find thinking about that makes it easier for me to write about things and get lyrics out. So I don't know, a lot of these songs are, especially on this EP, are just like social commentary stuff and almost like old man yells at clouds sort of lyrics, I like to call them. That's really helped me kind of write more and get the lyrics out.
When I think about something being important or something that will last for a long time, I feel like that's the quickest way for me to have a writer's block or something like that.
Oh yeah, just paralyze yourself.
So I was just curious, is that something that happens to you? I feel like you've taken on this weight with your interpretation of how you're going to write music and why you write music.
I guess it does seem like that, right? But I don't know. For some reason, it just gives me like a sense of purpose. And then it's like, oh, now I have a reason to do this. Or like, whereas otherwise I'm just kind of sitting around going, well, I don't know. What should I write about? And is it worth writing about? I don't know. Like, I just do these, mental games, and it takes me forever to get anything on paper. Whereas if I'm being a reporter, it's a lot easier to go, here's something, let me just talk about it. And
gotcha. Interesting. Okay.
Of course, choosing the subject always takes time, but that one seemed like kind of an easy one, as it was, because right as all this stuff was breaking, I was like, oh, well, this is an obvious thing I could talk about. I'm assuming people wrote enough pandemic or songs about the pandemic at this point, so...
Right.
That was a fresh subject. And also, it's personal because I'm pretty disturbed by, that human nature of war and all that. And I do a lot of live streaming on Twitch. So one of the things is you get to know a lot of people internationally. So I actually had a friend in Russia who, ended up, her life got remarkably worse because of this war. There's a line in there that says we're letting madmen run our lives. It's like, okay, so Putin decides to launch this war, and now all of a sudden, she's at risk of getting drafted into the war when she did nothing,
right.
Or like all the economic sanctions that have happened since, like those all completely affect her. Like she was trying to get something onto Bandcamp because she also does music, but Bandcamp won't take her money now. Like she has to go get gift cards from her friends in other countries. So there's all this suffering that happens to the people, but nothing really affects the rulers. And it's
the whole nation suffers because of an action of, well, we could just say one person, really.
Right. Yeah.
That's making
I'm no policy, expert or anything, so I could be completely wrong about this stuff. I'm not exactly well read, and I don't pretend to be smart, but it was just my reaction to all this, and it's just I don't know. I feel like we could do better as humans.
Here's a part in the interview that I tell you what my favorite part of the song is. If we're calling the "See the Bane of Our Becoming" the chorus, it's after the first chorus that you do. And I mentioned this before, but the chosen hues come like blue violets. Vultures always dress in green. Abandoned lives over painted lines isn't worth it. An unforgivable routine. Based on my original interpretation, it meant something to me in terms of how I look at my own existence and how my life or the things that I surround myself with, what I was thinking of as the painted lines of the unforgivable routine. To me, that was a very poignant part of the song, as I said, based on my original interpretation. But I still stand by that love of that line. So that really is my favorite part, is that stanza of lyrics.
I think I would agree. I really like that part too.
Would you say that's your favorite, though?
I did pick a favorite part, and it's actually something that Lucas contributed with his guitar work. So after that part comes the second chorus, which is kind of the same thing, but then there's an extra part of that chorus, and all of a sudden these other guitars kick in, and the line is seas of people overflowing, we're letting madmen run our lives. So right there, the guitars, I don't know, Lucas just does something with the notes in the guitars that make it really just hit another level, instrumental wise, and it really gets super serious feeling all of a sudden. And I'd have to say that was one of my favorite parts. Other than that, it was just some of the one-liners I've had. I refer to imperialists as collectors of dirt at one point.
Right.
So it's collectors of dirt waving batons. So that's another kind of a direct reference to Putin and stuff. I thought that was clever. At least for me.
Yeah, I mean, what is seizing land, right? It's just you're collecting dirt. Oh my goodness, yeah.
That guitar part really sealed the deal for me with the favorite part. But yeah, I also like that Chosen Hues stanza, like you said. That's probably one of my better sets of lyrics I've ever came up with. The Chosen Hues thing actually refers to when I was on, just seeing social media, when all of a sudden everybody had like the Ukraine colors in their bios and everything. I was like, oh, it reminded me of the flowers that came in springtime at my childhood home in Illinois. But the unforgivable routine is just, direct reference to war. It's like we keep doing it and it's not good. War's not good. That's my big takeaway. Oh, I guess I liked the little lead guitar things I did. I don't play a lot of lead guitar, but I thought those parts that I came up with were pretty nice.
Is that like after the What Good Is a World Without You? There's kind of that leadish.
Yeah.
What's nice is it makes its own statements, but it doesn't seem to overpower anything else that's going on there. It creates kind of this undercurrent to things. Like it.
Yeah, there was nothing really going on. Like if you listen to it without it, there's just these kind of dead spots in the song where there's not a lot going on, and that's where I was like, oh, I need something a little bit flashy here. And I actually I can't remember both of them I used a capo on, but they're like kind of mathy, almost Midwest emo tappy sort of riffs, which are always fun to throw in. So I don't do a lot of capo work on my guitars, but this time I felt like trying something new. So
why did you pick this song to be the song that you wanted to talk about today?
I chose it because I was proud of it, the lyrics especially. And then also I've written a lot of songs that, try to be real tricky structure wise and nonsense, but this one was very simple and I think it turned out really well. So I kind of enjoyed that about it.
Champaign is Also a Band podcast is proud to support Jubilee Cafe. Jubilee Cafe is a free weekly meal program at Community United Church of Christ, 805 South 6th Street in Champaign, Illinois. Jubilee Cafe serves a home-cooked meal from 5 to 6:30 each Monday. Their mission is to feed hungry people by cooking healthy, delicious meals and by serving their guests restaurant-style with servers waiting on tables. Jubilee Cafe is open to anyone who cares to eat with them. Because food insecurity among students is so high, they serve students as well as others in and around the Champaign-Urbana community who struggle with hunger. Meals are free to all and will be served each Monday evening, located in the accessible lower level of the building at 6th and Daniel Streets in Champaign. For more information on the meal or how to volunteer, go to the Jubilee Cafe CUCC Facebook page or email them at jubilee.cafe@community-ucc.org. That's jubilee.cafe@community-ucc.org. Welcome back. So, Colin, do you have a favorite Champaign-Urbana venue, past or present, that you really liked back in the day?
I was asked this like a long time ago, and I remember my answer was at the time the Courtyard Cafe, which a lot of people gave me flack over because they're like, it's like not what you're supposed to choose. But I really did like that venue. It seemed to have like, you could get right up next to the bands. It was small enough to be intimate. The sound was really good. There was refreshments nearby. No, if I had to choose one for real though, it had to be the Mike and Molly's Beer Garden on a warm summer night. There was really nothing beat the camaraderie, and the Soundman Bob would be there mixing it up, and it was really a great time to be in town when Withershins and I were playing.
I don't know if this is something that will resonate with anyone, but whenever there was a nice breeze blowing through that area, and perhaps in between sets or just before the band was playing or something like that, you could hear all the leaves kind of rustling in the vines that were climbing up the walls. And there was just this, I don't know, it just had this really cool earthy quality about it that I don't know if anyone else experienced this as well, but it would always be like when that cool breeze would kick on and it'd be like it
you're
would be
taking
getting
me
dark
right back.
and tables that didn't necessarily sit flat and like just kind of rocked a little bit. But I miss that being a regular thing. Seven Saints has done a few shows back there, but it misses the momentum of when Mike and Molly's was doing it every weekend, sometimes during the week. I feel like we lost a little something. I agree. That's probably one of my favorite venues, past or present as well.
Yeah, I should mention that I basically haven't really been in Champaign since about 2014. I moved out to the East Coast, and then I just recently moved back to Illinois, but I've been back since 2014, maybe a handful of times. So in my mind, Mike and Molly's is like still there, but I know it's not. I know like everything's changed, but like the high dive's still there. Like all these things, they're retained in my mind, at least. I can definitely speak of back in the day when, like I said, Withershins was doing their thing. Like I came to town in probably 2005. Actually, before I even moved, I knew I was going to be moving to Champaign. The website openingbands.com, I'm sure people have talked about it on here quite a bit, but that got me a couple of things. It got me into my first band, Johnnyork, and also I got the job that I held most of the time when I was living in Champaign, which is at F&G Sound. I was doing like live sound and lighting and all that stuff. I met Aaron McAllister through openingbands.com because I think like the week before I was moving there, he fell off a ladder or something and really messed his back up installing, probably something at the high dive. I think he was looking for somebody to help out, at the sound company. So I ended up being able to swoop in there, and it really paid dividends because I really got to see a lot of the scene, not just like the local stuff, but also, kind of the bigger shows that were going around. Because we had like a big mobile stage that we would take, and, we'd do gigs at the corporate park for the college and stuff like that, and all sorts of stuff, all the county fairs around. I've done sound for, pig, I forget what they called it. It's where they like grease the pigs up and then the kids run around and try to catch the pigs. So yeah, I've done a lot, everything Illinois had to offer as far as entertainment. Then I also got to work at the Assembly Hall. I got to do a bunch of gigs there too. So I was doing everything from the pig wrestling all the way up to, the big acts that were coming through at the Assembly Hall. So that was really cool to be able to see all that and really take in everything that the area had to offer as far as music and all.
So what do you miss most about Champaign, Urbana?
I don't know if I realized it at the time, but when I came to town, like I was stepping into like a completely fully formed music scene, I guess I didn't realize how lucky I was because, they had everything. There were multiple venues to play at. You could either play, if you were just coming up as a band, you could play house shows. There was tons of house shows, with the college kids everywhere. You could play the front room of the Canopy Club. That was my first gig in Champaign, I think, was, the front room of the Canopy Club. We made $20. I got free PBR. I thought it was the greatest thing ever, And that was with Johnnyork, and you meet so many great people. That's really the thing I miss the most is just the community. What else? There's, record company, Polyvinyl's there, a bunch of other record companies, people who really care about music. It was all in Champaign, recording studios, Talbot's out in Savoy, as well as Mark Rubels was there at the time.
What do you think makes a good music scene?
Well, probably a lot of the stuff I just listed. First of all, places to play and people who care about the music. When I moved back to a smaller town, it's like, oh yeah, there's not 5 or 6 bars willing to put on local bands who have unproven draws or anything. Like they're hiring cover bands who they know that people are going to enjoy. Nobody's taking risks on anything. So that in itself is huge that Champaign had that. And then just the surrounding support structure, really. Like I said, the record companies and the recording studios and the college scene definitely helped because you have this fresh influx of people every 4 years or every year really. And everybody's excited to go check out, like the great Cover Up. That was always a huge thing. That was probably another one of my favorite things about Champaign was doing that. We got to play as Modest Mouse the one year and people loved it, or at least they cheered really loud. It might have been alcohol induced at that point because we played pretty late, but that was definitely one of the most exciting gigs I've ever gotten to play. And then also like the festival, like Pygmalion Fest. That was huge. Having like a giant fest like that in the town, like that, local bands get to play. That was a huge deal. And not every scene is going to have something like that. So Champaign really was special in that kind of way. And then just, the bands were getting places and they were serious. Like when I first came to town, I think the first show I saw was American Miner and Lorenzo Getz at the Canopy Club. I don't know if you remember American Miner, but that one dude with like the rockin' Marshall stack had turned all the way to not even 11. I think it was on 13. Like it was so loud in there, but it was super cool. Just, seeing that in time, and then learning that, this is a local thing. It's not, just some band that's going to come through and you're never going to see them again until 3 years ago. And then like, I got really into the band Shipwreck and then Headlights when they were doing their thing. And that was really cool because I got to go see that at the Canopy Club and the front room. And I met a bunch of people just going to those shows. But yeah, as far as a music scene that works, it's just, you have to have enough people interested and you just have to have that support structure. And really it's the venues. That's like the one thing doing this live stream stuff I've been doing, it's really missing one thing, and that's like a central place where everybody gathers together. Because it basically works, like I have a Twitch channel and people come to my Twitch channel, or we'll hang out in a different Twitch channel, but it's everybody like has their own little venue, it feels like. And there's no like one venue where everybody comes together and forms a community. It's really missing that. We did a thing during the pandemic called Saturday Night Streamers, me and Jeff Julian from Vaudevillains. We were trying to do something like that where we just have like one place where, bands could come live stream if they didn't necessarily know how to set it all up themselves. And we threw a few shows. It was just a lot of work, so I kind of quit doing it, but it was starting to form a little bit of something. We were getting a little bit of traction through that. So just the venues are the biggest thing for me, for like a healthy scene, just somewhere to play that community gathers.
Champaign is Also a Band podcast is proud to support Exile on Main Street. Exile on Main Street, located in the old train station building at 100 North Chestnut Street in downtown Champaign, has been helping to build record collections since 2004. Carrying a wide array of new and used LPs, CDs, and video games. Exile on Main Street has something for just about any music enthusiast and old-school gaming devotee. Exile also hosts regular free live music shows on its stage, so be sure to check out their Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages for the up-to-date details on the next upcoming event. Open 7 days a week, they can be reached by phone at 217-398-MAIN. That's 217-398-6246. Welcome back. So, Colin, what is your favorite non-musical thing or things?
Okay, yes, I have multiple answers. I couldn't really pick. It's either like stand-up comedy, or recently I've been doing a ton of cooking. Stand-up, I think, a lot of musicians wish they could be stand-ups, and a lot of stand-ups wish they could be musicians. You hear that a lot. I love comedy of all sorts, like stand-up or like improv, or just, a funny TV show. I spend a lot of time when I'm not working on stuff, just, trying to catch up with like all the latest stand-up specials that have gotten released lately and all that stuff. And then cooking is the other one. I've really gotten into cooking lately.
Do you have a favorite comic?
I think the special I liked this year so far the most has been Kyle Kinane's special that he put out. He's awesome. I love all of his stuff. He's always hilarious. I've been listening to a lot of Roy Wood Jr. lately. He's on The Daily Show a lot, but he has his own specials that are really, really funny. Another one of my favorites is Maria Bamford. I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she's really like quirky. Like she did a special that was just, instead of like renting out a theater and having an audience, she just did a special where she invited her parents over for dinner and did her like entire special in front of her two parents. Like that was one of my favorites I've ever seen. She really like knows how to push the envelope, I guess, as far as form and creativity with stand-up, and it's really enjoyable to watch. And then there's also like Dave Attell. I'm a big Dave Attell fan. Mitch Hedberg, classic. It's probably my faves.
And you've gotten into cooking recently. What do you like to cook?
Let's start out with like pastas. I was sick of buying the Alfredo sauce in the cans because it's always horrible. So I kind of set out on this journey to figure out how to make the best Alfredo sauce I could, which I'm still working on. It's tougher than I thought it would be. So it kind of expanded from there. And then, last night I cooked, for the first time I tried, it was pasta alla Nerano, which is like fried zucchini.
Okay.
And sort of in a cacio e pepe sort of thing. So it's like, it's kind of like Alfredo, but it's just noodles and then pasta water and cheese. There's no like cream. If you do it traditionally, there's no butter even. And then you do like the fried zucchini on top of that. So it didn't come out that great. I got to try it like 10 more times to get it right. But cacio e pepe is like kind of it's a known difficult dish to pull off. So, but it's really fun to try and do all these things. And then just Italian stuff, like a lot of pan fried chicken, pan sauces, doing a lot of zucchini stuff lately because we got a bunch of fresh zucchini from my father-in-law's garden. He keeps dropping them off, so keep cooking them up.
In the finest Midwestern tradition of, if you have too many, just drop it off on your neighbor's front porch.
Exactly.
So how did you find out about the fried zucchini dish? I don't know if I've ever heard of that before.
Well, it's because my father-in-law decided to come over with about 1,000 pounds of zucchini and said, here, do something with this. So I'm like, well, I guess I better figure out how to make some zucchini recipes. So we did some zucchini boats, like you scoop out the middle of the zucchini, and then the first ones we did is basically like French bread pizza, except instead of bread, you use zucchini. And so it's just some red sauce and cheese on top, and that was actually delicious. Like, you don't have to be complicated, but I did that, and then let's see, I'm trying to think. The pasta we just did, whatever's on hand. Then he's been bringing over tomatoes lately. So the bass player in Withershins, Neil, he taught me. Yep. He's also big into cooking. He taught me how to make this Tuscan chicken recipe. So it's basically like you pan fry chicken, and then you add later like cream and then baby spinach and a bunch of tomatoes, and you just kind of like simmer it until it all kind of melds together into one sauce. And getting hungry again thinking about all this food.
No, it sounds amazing. Like, have you always been into Italian, or is that just like...
Yes,
because
I definitely have always enjoyed pasta and things with a lot of carbs, which unfortunately I visited my doctor not too long ago, and I've been having to cut back a bit on all of the things I enjoy that much, but I've definitely eaten my share of pasta in my lifetime already, so it doesn't feel too bad. Now I'm enjoying, vegetables and fruits a little bit more these days. So learning to cook all that stuff it's fun. Cooking's like music, you're taking ingredients, like instead of a guitar, maybe you have a tomato, but you're taking these ingredients and you put them together and make a creative dish. And, right now I'm learning the cover songs, I'm just learning off recipes, but I'm imagining if I keep doing this for a few more years, I'll be able to just whip something up from whatever and make my own songs or dishes, And then the third thing, which was a little bit spurred on, but dock diving with my puppos.
Yeah.
So our dogs are, like most dogs, they're monsters. They're full of energy. So we're trying to find things for them to do. And we came across the sport of dock diving. I should say me and my wife, because my wife, she's kind of the leader of all the dog sport stuff in our household. We've been doing dock diving with our dog Oliver, and actually the other one too, Atlas, lately. We just got Atlas into it, but Oliver's been doing it for about a year now, and it's so much fun. They love it. The dogs really, really love it because they're Labradors, so they love being in water and swimming, and it's just a lot of fun to watch them have so much fun.
For those that don't know, can you describe what dock diving is?
Okay, so there's a 40-foot long pool, and then there's like a 40-foot long dock that's up against the pool. And basically you just set your dog at the end of the dock, and then you walk to the front, like by the edge of the pool with a dog toy, and then you yell, go, and then they run, and then you throw the toy into the pool, and then they try to catch it. There's different strategies on what you do with the toy, and they have to jump as far as they can into the pool, and then it's judged by distance. So every foot there's a marker in the pool, and there's a judge that hangs out on the side of the pool, and they'll tell you how far your dog jumped. Pretty much it.
Yeah. No, I was looking, I think that was at your Instagram of some images.
I've been posting some stuff.
I mean, I don't mean to put your dog on the spot, but it looked like that was a good long distance. Is that the average distance?
It matters on the dog breed, right? Like if you get like a Belgian Malinois who's like a crazy energetic dog, they'll jump, 30 feet. Like some of them will jump really far. Our labs, we have English labs, so they don't jump quite as far as like the regular American labs do because they're a little bit stockier, But our dog jumps right around 20 feet, which is pretty good. It's getting up there for his breed, but regular lab will jump maybe, I think the top distance is about 25, 26 feet. So we're basically right in the middle. It's not, and then there's some dogs who, they'll barely make 10 feet, but they're all having fun. And
yeah,
it's kind of hard to do competitions or anything. They do them, but like they separate out into different like divisions and stuff. So like our dog jumps in the senior division, which only goes up to 20 feet. So we're kind of, 19 foot, 20 foot. So we're jumping like good for our division. But if we jumped farther, we'd actually be like not as good competitively in the next division up. So like, unless you have a breed that is competitive with the top distance breeds, like you're not really going to have, just a jump off where whoever's farthest wins. And they'll do that with like little lap dogs too. Like they have all sorts, no matter what dog you have, you can go do it.
Yeah.
So but at the end of the day, it's all just, so the dogs have fun and they really do have a blast.
How did you get into that?
My wife started out taking the dogs to do nose work, which like, I guess, airport security dogs, the dogs that come sniff, those are like professional nose work dogs. But there's also like, you can just do it as a sport. So like, if you're not amazing at it and, you can just go and they like hide shoe boxes with different scents like birch or anise or like, it's not food or anything, but it's usually like, like something woody like that or earthy. And then you train the dog to, recognize the scent. And then they'll go and, they'll have 10 shoe boxes or whatever. And you'll take them through the room and they have to pick out which box has the scent in it. And then you like yell alert basically. And then, you're either right or wrong and you get judged based on how many you get right. And then it's a whole thing. Like there's sometimes they'll have rooms with nothing in it and you have to realize that there are no scents in the room and it gets progressively harder the more you go. But my wife was doing that. And then also at the same complex they were doing the nosework stuff at, there was, a pool in the back and we're like, oh, we should check that out one day. And so we went and watched the dogs jump. We're like, oh, I wonder if our dog would do that. So we took him to like a practice round and he, when he started out, he wouldn't even go off the dock. He like was super scared. We had to like coax him in the first time. But then like once he did it the first time, he's like, oh, I kind of like this. And then, he would jump, 3-4 feet at first. But then, you just keep going and going and going and they get more confidence. And now like you saw on the Instagram thing, he's jumping as far as he possibly can. Like no fear at all. Just needs to get that toy. So, but that's how we got into that.
Well, Colin, thank you for being on the show and telling me all about your song, Winter Wind, your favorite Champaign-Urbana venue, and what makes a good music scene, and 3 of your favorite non-musical things. It's been a pleasure to be able to chat with you over Zoom. It's good to see you and chat and see what's going on with you these days. So I appreciate you being on the show.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. It was a lot of fun, and I've listened to a bunch of these. The pressure's all on Bryce now to be the last Withershins on the show. So yeah, I love the pod. It's been awesome being on, and thanks for having me. Thank you for listening to Champaign is Also a Band podcast. This is Colin Larson reminding you great music is out there. Go find it where you live.
That's a wrap.
Champagne is also a band.
You almost have an NPR voice. It's so good.
South bigger on the inside.
I've done sound for, pig. I forget what they called it. It's where they like grease the pigs up and then the kids run around and try to catch the pigs. I've done a lot, everything Illinois had to offer as far as entertainment